Texas Congressman Sylvester Turner has died, his death coming just months after he won the Texas 18th congressional district race to replace former Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee after she died this past July. Sylvester Turner was the mayor of Houston, Texas for 8 years, and he served 27 years in the Texas House. He reportedly was in attendance at President Trump's address to the nation on Tuesday. Houston's current mayor, John Whitmire, has said, "We've lost an outstanding public official. No one will be able to step into Sylvester's shoes and carry on his duties because there was only one Sylvester Turner." Representative Turner was 70 years old. Just last week, C-SPAN spoke with Congressman Turner about his upbringing and his early political career in Texas.
The 18th Congressional District is historic and very prominent. Not too many people have held this seat. Barbara Jordan, people are familiar with, held the seat. She was the first. Followed by Mickey Leland, who was another prominent, strong personality. He followed. Then Craig Washington, who I had the privilege of serving with in the Texas legislature. And then after him, Sheila Jackson Lee. Sheila and I have knew each other for over 40 years. My daughter referred to as Auntie Sheila. We were at the same law firm together before she then moved on, served in a city council member, and then left city council, and then came to the 18th, and served remarkably well for almost 30 years. So you can't replace a Sheila Jackson Lee, but like she came in and brought her tenacity, her vision, her work ethic to the 18th. She was different than Barbara Jordan or Mickey Leland or Craig Washington, and that's the way I see myself. And that is, each one laid the foundation for the next one to build upon. And so I'm standing on their legacy, but the bottom line is to represent the people in our congressional district who are counting on us to be their voice, their representative, and to make their lives better.
How will you be different? What will you bring to this seat that is different?
In this sense, that I'm a native to the 18th. Where Barbara Jordan and Mickey came from the northeast side of the 18th, we affectionately refer to it as 5th Ward, the Nickel. And the Congresswoman, Sheila Jackson Lee, came from the 3rd Ward area. We refer to as the Tray. I come from the northwest side, Acres Home, the north side. We affectionately refer to it as the Fofo. We all have our unique styles, but our passion lies in the representation of the people who trust us to represent them. I served in the Texas legislature for 27 years. I'm the first African American, the first person of color to represent that state representative district, a district that was 60% white, and now here I come. Then I served as the mayor of the city of Houston for 8 years, the second African American mayor in the city's history. And quite frankly, when I was termed out, I was getting ready to do some other things. Sheila unfortunately passed, and I was asked by some to step in. And so now I have the privilege of building on what I have learned, my experience, my relationships, to build the foundation on top of what they have laid, represent the people, and then prepare this district for the person who will follow me.
Do you have a time that you plan to spend here, a certain amount of time that you plan to spend in Washington?
You know, when the Congresswoman passed, I put out like a time. And I've reflected on that. My goal is to serve the people as long as they will have me and as long as I can effectively represent them. I think you make a mistake when you put a time. For mayor, I was term limited, 8 years, and even though I didn't want to go, and many people didn't want me to go, time said, that's it. Here, you don't necessarily focus on the time. You focus on each day improving the lives of people who need your help. And so for me, major priority is health care. There are people in one zip code in their 18 whose life expectancy is 20 years less than the neighboring zip code. For them, they want their lives better. They're not interested on how long you will serve. They're interested on how well you will represent them. Housing. People need affordable housing. Those are issues that are important. Economic development. So I come prepared to give this place 100% to represent them and build on the legacy of my parents. Neither one of them graduated from high school. Neither one. My dad died of cancer when I was 13. My mom was a maid at the Rice Hotel downtown and reared 9 kids. But what I focus on, my dad died of cancer because we didn't have private health insurance. And he made the decision. He wasn't going to take from his children. He was going to work until the good Lord called him home. Fast forward, as mayor, his son was diagnosed with cancer. I had access to the best health care in the world, the best doctors in the world, treated at MD Anderson. And 3 weeks after my surgery, I'm back at City Hall as mayor, and now I find myself here in the halls of Congress representing the people in the 18. A dad who died far too soon because he didn't have health care. His son, some years later, has the best you can get. And now my life continues, and I'm in Congress. For me, a driving force is to represent those people who don't have it, where the fact that they don't should not be a death sentence for them. So that's what I bring. That's my passion. That's what's driving me. And you serve as long as you can effectively represent them and make their lives better.
What do you think your dad would say to you if he could see you here today in Washington and all that you've accomplished before you came here?
I think my dad would say, Sylvester, to those to whom much has been given, much is required. And you give it until you can't give anymore. I think my dad would say, it's not about what, Sylvester, you have. It's about those who don't have much. So your greatest contribution would be to lift those people up, put them in a better position, help them to help rear their families, and be their voice when you get into the halls of power where they cannot be heard. Make sure that they are heard. Fight for them until you can't fight anymore. That's my commitment. My mom, this maid who didn't graduate from high school, my mom would say, we sacrifice everything for you. Don't forget that. Now it's your turn. So we don't want to hear about the numbers are not in your favor. We don't want to hear about the bureaucrat's nightmare. You find a way to represent those who are trusting you. You find a way. And don't you stop until everything that has been put in you, you have now expended for someone else less fortunate than you. That's what my mom would say.
Who or what sparked your interest in politics?
You know, it's ironic. I was watching I'm dating myself, the Kennedy-Nixon debate on the floor, in the living room, in Acres home with my mom and dad, and black and white television. And they were the commentators. My mom and my dad, neither one graduated from high school, but they were the ones saying to each other, Kennedy represents the people. This other guy, we don't know. But that's who we like. I was 6 or 7 years old, sitting on the floor, taking it all in. And quite frankly, it caught my attention. And I said to myself, one of these days, I'm gonna be on that stage.
Were your parents involved in politics?
My parents believed in voting. They didn't go to a college, they didn't graduate from high school, but when it came time to vote, they voted. My dad was a union guy. That helped to elevate our family from where we were, made life a lot better. They both focused on making sure their kids had opportunities for an education more than what they did. So when it came time to school, my mom and dad, they were there. When it came time for my homework, they didn't know algebra and all that. They just knew you need to be doing your homework. So here you are, just suppose, two parents, didn't graduate from high school, and now here comes their son. Graduates valedictorian from high school. Ended up graduating with honors from University of Houston. And then my mom she signed the loan papers for me to go to Harvard Law School. Initially, she refused, because when I told her how much, she said, Sylvester, I can't do that. And I reminded my mom, you always told us that we could be whatever the good Lord would have us to be. And I told my mom, I said, Dad is not here. You are my mom and my dad. 3 days later, she signed the papers. And it was my mom and my brother who took me to the airport, a one-way ticket. And I went to Harvard, sight unseen. And my mom said, I wish we could go, can't afford to go, but we'll see you at Christmas time. Take God with you and do your best. So here I am, from two parents that didn't graduate from high school. I've gone to the best schools in the country. And because of that education, a lawyer for over 40 years, came out of one of the best, largest law firms in the country, Fulbright and Jaworski, and now state representative, a mayor, and who would have thought, been in the halls of Congress. I can only imagine what my mom and dad would be saying. They made one hell of investment in their children.
Texas Congressman Sylvester Turner has died, his death coming just months after he won the Texas 18th congressional district race to replace former Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee after she died this past July. Sylvester Turner was the mayor of Houston, Texas for 8 years, and he served 27 years in the Texas House. He reportedly was in attendance at President Trump's address to the nation on Tuesday. Houston's current mayor, John Whitmire, has said, "We've lost an outstanding public official. No one will be able to step into Sylvester's shoes and carry on his duties because there was only one Sylvester Turner." Representative Turner was 70 years old.